Hi, welcome to Thrive. As a one-off, we're doing a recording of this session because it's an opportunity for the people here to ask questions about their profile, about resumes, about career pivots, about anything really, even including communication and how that may happen digitally and face-to-face. So let's start with the question by Terry. Terry, would you be so kind to tell us your question? Repeat that.
Sure. I'm a women mind and body fitness coach. And lately, more than before, I get a invitation to connect from women's mind and body coaches. We all offer the same thing to the same target market. I was just curious, shall I go for it? Why? What do you think is the motive behind that? One doctor is, I understand, but coaches, the same, we do the same thing, we offer the same thing. What do you think?
Okay, I guess I would start by asking, do you have some concerns? As like, I feel like naturally the thing is to say maybe I shouldn't, but what is the concern that you have about them reaching out to connect, Terry?
Not at all, because we can be all, we offer the same thing, but we can be different personalities. I don't like everyone, not everyone will like me. I understand that, but I'm just curious what goes in their mind, but I can't ask them. Or maybe I can ask them. Maybe I
Maybe
can
you
ask
can.
them. Maybe I can ask
Yes.
them,
Yes.
what gets you? Yeah, well, maybe it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah, I'm
But I'm
thinking
not threatened.
like,
I'm not threatened. Maybe they might think that I'm threatened by them. Oh, God forbid we can't do the same thing. But just taking it easy.
yeah, no, I don't think, I think really you can't know what people really are thinking or what they're hoping to achieve until you ask them the question. So it's
And
very
sometimes they will
individual.
never tell you anyway, the
Perhaps,
truth.
but then eventually it might come out. But I think it's just to think positively about it. At the end of the day, it is a social media platform. And so ultimately, the idea is everybody wants to connect and make new connections. They want to grow the number of connections they have. And it kind of makes sense. Like even myself, I'm in communications, content writing, and that kind of thing. So I naturally want to connect to other people in my community, in my industry, because it might be useful in any number of ways. One, if I have an issue or a challenge and I feel that it's something that maybe people who, are more senior might have answers to, I could just put something out. And because they're already my connections, they're likely to see it. They may respond, they may not, right? So that's one approach. But quite apart from that, if you follow or connect with somebody, you're likely to see the things that are of interest to them. So if you're in the same space, in the same industry, you're going to see new things that you might not necessarily have access to showing up on your feed. And when they post something, there's going to be interaction from their own network. So that's also an opportunity for you to reach out to other people in your industry. So I think of it as a very positive thing. And I just approach it in that way until such time that something negative is to happen or could happen, and then I'll just decide there and then if there is if there's a need to maybe not have that connection anymore. But in my experience, I've not really had too many of those situations where it's not a fit. I mean, I've had fake profiles connect with me, and when I
Wow.
then realize it's a fake profile, then I remove that connection. But
How
by
did you
and
find out
large,
it's fake? How did you find
you
it?
well, it is getting increasingly harder to tell, but when you review the profile and you look through, when they have the profile and they flesh it out pretty, in a lot of detail, the more detail there is, the more real it will be. Although you can have fake, you can just put any university you've gone to and put any kind of degree.
Sure.
So I look at the level of information that is provided on the profile. And then more importantly, I look at the activity. So if the person has a very fully fleshed out profile, but there's zero activity, there's really no way to say until you start interacting directly with the person or you see what they have, done online, right? And then you just see. So sometimes it could be repeat comments appearing multiple times on other people's posts. There's some automation going on,
Oh,
or
yes,
just something
automation.
that's not real, because human beings don't behave like that, right? Or you just see weird comments that are not really related to the content or the topic that is being discussed, or maybe they might be pitching something. So that's when and you
So
can
you
make it.
just you just disfriend them or something,
Yeah,
unfriend them or something. So
yeah. So
can I
does
ask
that answer
another?
the
Oh,
question?
sorry. Yes,
Does
yes,
that
yes.
answer
And
the
I can
question?
see, yes, I can see. I learn from them. They learn from me, and it's good. It's just, I wasn't threatened by this. I'm not going to. Oh my lord, they do this something. It's a big company. It's a big community. It's a big land. You've got 8 billion people on the planet. They keep telling us. So we all have things to do. The other thing is, sometimes we don't want to be nagging. What do you do? At one stage, I saw in one of the comments, I saw an Israeli name because I'm from Israel. I will say no, his name. It says Israel. So I said, "Oh, that's good. I recognize that you're Israeli, and how are you? And this is who I do, what I do." And I didn't hear anything for a week. Do you think I should ask him again? I don't want to nag them, and I don't want anything really from them. I just want a bit of connection, communication. That's it. But I don't want it to think that she's going to
No,
nag me
no,
every
I,
five
I, I,
minutes.
I, I get what you're saying, but maybe you can try a different approach rather than re-ask the question. You can also, sometimes people who are very active on LinkedIn, they tend to respond pretty quickly. So they
Quickly,
might
yes, I
respond
got that.
within the
Yeah,
day. Sometimes they will
yes,
respond within
I
two,
had
three
it.
days. These, these are people that they spend some time regularly on LinkedIn, but not everybody is like that. So some people may check in once a week, once in 2 weeks, right? So those people, those are the ones you'll find they're not responding like what's happening. It's nothing to do with you. It's just them and their whatever's going on in their life. And that's those are their habits in terms of
And they don't
how they
know
approach
me, and I
social
don't
media.
know them. Yep.
Yes. But you can look at their activity and see what else are they doing. Maybe they've shared a post, maybe they've liked something else, maybe they've missed their message. That's also another thing. We're getting so many messages because there's now so many people and so many messages. It's
Amazing,
very
amazing.
easy to miss the message. And so no harm in reaching out again and finding, being real and saying, I'd like to, build this connection. I'd like to learn a little bit more
Ah,
about you. As long as you turn it to them, and they'll be happy that you want to reach out. So yeah, I would say go ahead and reach out and see what happens. But probably
oh,
if you don't get a response after the second attempt,
maybe
yeah,
it's not.
just leave it.
Not that. Maybe they're
Yeah,
overseas. Maybe they're not here. I don't know. It's not. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So you make it so
Thank you.
natural. So that's good. Thank you very much.
Thanks. All right. Any other questions?
I actually do have
Yes.
one. So
Okay.
LinkedIn becomes like one of the CV profiles that you put in as your quick resume, right? For the impression of maybe a recruiter or sometimes even be the potential boss in the future. So how so the amount of information we put in on LinkedIn profile, how much is too much and how little is too little? It could be like, for example, right now, my LinkedIn profile barely have maybe say a title of my job where I'm currently working in my past experience, but not any details such as like the scope of work or, the projects that I've done, not in detail, it's just a sketch of it. So in your opinion, how to which extent should we curate our LinkedIn profile? And also when writing the pitch at the headline as the headliner, how many lines are appropriate? I've seen some of the people writing like a really good paragraph or two of very long, headliners. Some people really succinct and a very curated, attractive pitch line. So I just want to have two of your advice on those areas. Thank you.
Okay, I might
Headlines.
need, thank you, Emma. I might need some help with you revisiting the question after this, just in case I misread. But your first question, I believe, is how much is too much and what is too little. So I think that has to come back also to, it's a great question. I think that comes back to what you're hoping to get from the platform and how you want to be seen. So think of it this way. If you go to a party or a networking event and you don't know a lot of people and you don't say very much about yourself, then there isn't a lot of stuff that can create the connection for which a conversation can continue. You know what I mean? So if we have very little, they don't know who they're dealing with. You're like a stranger. So if you're a stranger, you either ask more questions to start the conversation, or if there's a conference and there's a topic, then you talk about that topic and you use that as the way to engage. So similarly with LinkedIn, I think having some level of detail is useful. Okay. The other thing also is whether you are looking for a new role, you're looking to move. If you're looking to move, then I would strongly suggest that by and large, your profile should be as fleshed out as you can in terms of the kind of information that you would have in a resume. I would say, as a general rule, I would have my LinkedIn profile and my resume kind of aligned and consistent, because sometimes you find people have a very brief LinkedIn profile, just the bare bones, but then their resume is so detailed. And the thing is, we don't know when we're looking for work or we're looking to make a connection or open to new opportunities, we don't know where that will come from. So if we have, for that reason, I like to make sure that there's an alignment between the resume and the LinkedIn profile, right? So whatever you think you might put in your resume is stuff that you should have in your LinkedIn profile, so that regardless of how you were to go out and look for an opportunity, or an opportunity should come to you, that alignment is supporting you. So ultimately, we're not doing it just for other people. We're doing it to support ourselves. We want to be seen. We want to be understood. We want people to know the value we bring. And the more that we can help people to understand what we have to offer, the better for us. And we don't necessarily want to have to repeat ourselves. So the more that it's already out there and visible, then that is supporting us. So one way is to have your profile really fleshed out and filled with as much information as is relevant. Not necessarily it's a long essay, but the other thing also is the activities. So for example, if I'm in communications, I use myself as an example because it's the easiest, and easier for me to talk about examples. So I'm in communication. I want people to know that I am in communication. That is my specialty. I can write. I'm a ghostwriter. Then I want to make sure that my body of work is visible. So your body of work is what I call your thought leadership. So not just having a profile, but having something that you can point to, so that people come to you for the first time. They come to your profile. See, that's the beauty about LinkedIn. They come to your profile, they look at your headline, they look at your about section, they look at your work experience. Oh my gosh, it's all very interesting. I want to know more. Okay. I'll go to the activities. So they'll go to your activities, they'll see the things that you're liking, they see the things that you're commenting. They're looking not just at your comments, they're looking at what is the topic, the thing that you're commenting on. Then they might hit the article tab. You might have a couple of articles there. Now, if you're somebody who's been on the platform for years, like say for myself, I've got lots of articles, I've got hundreds upon hundreds of posts. If somebody were really talking me and wanted to really, I need to know who is this person, I need to understand them, they could go through my profile, they could spend hours on it, and they'd get a sense of who I am. They'd really begin to grasp who I am. And that's where, if you're authentic, if you're real, you're keeping it real, all of that will show up, because your social media goes back years. You can just keep getting on and scrolling, and you can scroll as far back as forever, right? And so through the years, they'll see that interaction. They'll see the comments. They'll see the things that I'm posting on. So I've been on LinkedIn since 2007. You can scroll back as far as you want and see articles, posts, comments, and engagement, other people engaging with the thing. And that gives that people a sense of who I am based on what I say. That's why my profile says, this is what I want to tell you. But then when you look at the activities and you see engagement, this is what other people are saying about me. Very powerful stuff. And you can go out and start this process today, and in the course of a few months, a year, you'd have that history, that body of work. And that's what I want people to do, is have that body of work, articles, videos. If you feel, the thing is, you got to create body of work that resonates with you. So some people are video shy, like myself. So I've only just gotten into doing videos and stuff in the last 2 years. But before this, my background has been in writing my whole life. And that was where I've concentrated my efforts. That's where I've developed my specialty. So I feel comfortable there. So I've always had a lot of writing. And that's how people know me. But because I wanted to break that fear of video and, just being out there. I did it just for that, right? So the bottom line is there's a whole bunch of information about me out there that people can, before they even meet me, they have a sense of who I am. And I am very curated and very mindful about what I want people to think about me. So I go down the road of creating ABC content, and I don't do XYZ content. And I do this so that you know where I come from. So when you come to my profile, you know I'm in communication. You know that I'm in LinkedIn profile optimization. Why? Because I've been working to get you to think that, get you to know that, and get you to understand that. So if you're in this space and you want to be in, you want to launch this startup, and you want people to know you in relation to digital infrastructure or digital payments, or in HR, then you want to build that body of work in that space or in those spaces. And then over time, you start slowly, post by post, click by click, article by article, and over time, that's what will happen. People will know you for the space that you want to be known in. So how much? I don't think there's too much in LinkedIn, because there are limits everywhere. There's a limit in terms of the character count. There's a limit for the about section. There's limits. And so those limits are there as a guiding, tool. So you can use those. But what I love about LinkedIn is the different formats. There's visuals, those visual assets, those things really help. So use the visual aspects, featured media, the ability to put up slides, the ability to put up a video, audio, your LinkedIn background header, another really powerful visual tool. These are all, and then when you write a post, to insert a supporting image so that it attracts the eye. All of these visual tools that we can use help us to really put ourselves out there in the areas that we want to put ourselves in. So,
and you don't worry about the saturation? You don't worry about this at all?
No, I don't worry about saturation, because at the end of the day, I'm very purposeful about who I'm connecting. And that's a really good question. You're very purposeful about who you're connecting to. And we are not forcing this down people's throats. It's social media. You have a feed. It is constantly changing. In fact, something I put up there today may not even be seen tomorrow, unless I have a whole bunch of engagement. It might not even be showing up tomorrow. So It doesn't matter. What I do think about is, rather than think about it of, am I saturating the market? Am I like flooding them with too much stuff? I ask myself, what am I doing here? Like, how am I helping people? What am I doing that is useful to others? If you think that, you're not going to be worried about saturation. So sometimes people run out of ideas about things to post. So they post about themselves. They post about, some project that they're working on, or they post about how hard something is, or they post about
the coffee this morning,
emotion,
coffee,
or those kind of things. I think it's good to have them sometimes. I don't have too many of those, because I want to go back to the reader. Like, how does this benefit someone else? The fact that you had coffee today, okay, or that you caught up with a friend. I try to go back to, how is this going to benefit my reader? So if you're going to take the time to read my post, you are connected. So that's the other thing. The impressions matter. I am taking the time to reach out to people, certain people that I want to connect with. I want to make a good impression. Of course, I won't lie. I want you to like me. I want you to feel like she's got something to offer. And so I have to be very careful about what I say. So if I say something stupid, or I say something careless, then you're going to have a bad impression, and then you may not come back. And I've lost you. You may still be a connection, but I've lost you because you've got that impression. And it could be a wrong impression, because I made a mistake today. Like, I didn't really want to post that, but I was lazy. I couldn't think of what else, too much pressure. So I did something. And then you've come to this impression of me, which is not necessarily true. And you haven't really spent the time to look at other things, but that one post is enough for you. And then you go, no, this doesn't really resonate with me. I'm not going to bother. And then that's it. You've lost that person. So you want to be very other-centered, audience-centric in terms of what you're doing. And if you do that, I don't need to tell you what to do. You'll know what to do in terms of what you post, and how you post it. It will be clear.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question? Does that answer your question, Emma?
Just a little.
Was there a second question?
I think it all encompasses in a way that you answer like how to do a tagline or how to do actually have a picture on top of the profile, and also
Yeah.
how many details should we include, you know, how detailed it should be on LinkedIn. So I think you answered it pretty much everything that I have asked. Thank you for that.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm glad to hear that. All right, good. Any other questions? I think, Usema, did you have your hand up just now?
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Yes.
So should I ask? Actually, talking
Yeah.
about the impression, talking about the impression is a kind of like a couple of years back we have a walk-in interview. Walk-in interview is a kind of like we have as a bit kind of benefits that to show your confidence to the interviewer, like how you dress up, how you walk, how you sit in, how you communicate. This is a kind of like, but now after COVID, especially after COVID, there is a kind of some initial interviews are online. People are shy on showing up. Uh, Plus, it's a kind of like background noises. Is a kind. Sometimes it's a bad impression to the interviewer. Sometimes sometimes people are 100% they are fit for the job, but they lost because of that impression. How we deal with it? Sometimes like you don't hold small children to not to come in, not I'm on the call, not to come in. uh, Automatically the interaction will be diverted. So how can we deal with this? You got my question?
Okay. Let me see if I understand your question. I will just see if I can repeat that. So you're saying that we used to have these face-to-face walk-in interviews, but now we tend to have more of these online video calls for interviews. And you're saying that often enough we have disruptions. We don't have the ability to put a good impression. Maybe kids come in. Okay, look, I have 3 kids, so I totally get what you're saying. It is very hard to control everything. But if in the interview it should happen that a kid pops up, then you just have to say to them to give you a minute to sort that out, get help or whatever. You can't control everything. I mean, you can control the things that you can control, but certain things you can't. And so you just have to have a sense of, you know what, it's just fine. I will deal with this. And I can't imagine why that would, because why that would make a bad impression. I don't think, Now, the things that we can control in a video call are lighting. Okay, so it's very important, right? Especially in a video call, an interview where so much is at stake. You want to make sure anything that you can control, you do control it, so that you're putting your best foot forward, right? Lighting is very important, because if you don't have good lighting, then it does affect the mood and the emotion in the room. Maybe not so much for yourself, but definitely for the person on the other side who's looking at you, right? They were like, why is it so dark? I don't know what they'd be thinking. So lighting is one. 2 is the camera angle. So you want to make sure that you are as much as possible in the center of your screen, not too much to the side, not have, like your mouth cut off or your forehead cut off. So you want to, this is simple things. It may not seem like much, but I think they ultimately add to the impression you're creating, right? Clothing is another. But I think more than anything else, I would say I would focus on the energy. So when you come in, it's very hard because you're not face to face. You just got the screen, like how we are having this call. But you want to bring that energy with you to the call, right? That positive energy. When you're answering the questions, I think that is palpable. You can feel that in a call, the energy that the person is bringing. And you just want to, I guess you want to try not to make too many assumptions about what you see or do not see. Like, for example, if during the interview, the interviewer suddenly switches off the video for like, I don't know, and in the middle of you answering a question or whatever,
Wow,
right?
why?
No, I don't know. not really been to too many interviews of late, but if that were to happen, the video goes off for 30 seconds. Don't immediately say, oh gosh, like what have I done anything? Why is he so? Don't assume it's got to do with you. It could be to do with them. Like they needed to suddenly take a text message, or they don't want you to, someone could have walked into the room. They're dealing with an issue. We don't know. So just carry on as per normal. And I think the other thing about being in an interview, even in a video interview, is just owning that space, as in the sense of they are interviewing you and you want to be prepared that you have, various questions that you need to answer, but I'm also interviewing you, so I want to make sure that you're a good fit for me, because, once we commit to each other, it's long term, it's a year, it's 2 years, it's ongoing, right? So I need to know that you're a good employer for me. And if you start thinking like that, you'll be more concerned about what are these questions that I need to ask them? What questions can I ask that's going to give me the information I need so that I can be sure that I'm making a good decision here? So, you flip it in your mind, you're also looking at them. How are they treating this interview process? Are they asking unnecessary questions? Why aren't they asking me? You'd be assessing them too, not just them assessing you. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, pretty fine. Thank you so much.
Yes, for me, Rowena, one thing I'm now not so long to using the LinkedIn. So I try to focus what of my profession or something like that. But maybe for the young people, after 3-4 years, they change mind, and then how to frequent change. They 3-4 years they change mind, and then need to be upgrade for their profile or something like that, and not consistent. Those kind of things, how to handle it for the main content of the profile or something like that.
So you're saying when they change jobs?
Not job, or focus or career or profession.
So they've changed industry a few times. You're not quite sure what exactly they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So your question is how to deal with the profile?
How to do, and then how many better to change the profile is the suitable time. For 1 year, they change profile or upgrade or not consistent, those kind of things. How to handle for.
Yeah, the thing is, if I assume if they are not updating it very often, that they are not very active on LinkedIn. So thank you for that question. I think it's very hard if you're at a stage in your career where you're just kind of exploring and doing different things, and you get opportunities in totally different areas. Of course, you're going to accept it. Everyone, we all need to work. So you take on a job. But when you look back at your career or your profile, you realize it's just a little all over the place. I'm not really sure how I'm coming across. Okay, at that point, really, what you need to do, I guess, is just really look at your goals, your career goal, more than the past, because the past, you can't really do anything about it. But the future, you can. So it's really a question of figuring out, okay, now that I've had all of these experiences, what am I going to do moving forward? Where do I want to go? And then once you figure that out, then you can find a way to tie the different experiences together. Sometimes you can tie the different experiences together. Sometimes they're so distinct, so different that you may not be, but it doesn't matter, because it's just what was the experience. In your profile, in your resume, it should always be more about your direction. You've got the experience, yes, but now this is my direction. And that keeping that in mind will help you in terms of how you want to describe your past activities and also describe the kind of work that you want to do. I'm not saying it's easy. Sometimes it is challenging, especially if you are open and like, I can do a few things, but you can't go out to look for work or to look for specific roles if you're too open. You know, if you are open to everything, but it's not clear from your profile, then other people don't know what roles to bring to you. So you have to have a certain level of specificity in your profile so that when the opportunities come up, then they can recognize it also in your profile because of the right sort of keywords and the way you describe your work experience. Also because when they are putting roles out, advertising roles, and also then using search to look for candidates, then you've got those experiences and those keywords and those phrases in your profile, then you get pulled up in the search. But if it's missing, then you can't get pulled up. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Well, we are 3 minutes to 2.
Oh, how time flies.
How
Oh.
time flies. So I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you very much.